Welcome back, travelers, to the Venture of the Lazy. It is your host, Kat, and I'm here with Miss Ray.
I send my salutations.
What is up, girl? You're looking superb today.
Well, you're looking fabulosa yourself.
I will take that. I appreciate that. Today's adventure is the adventure of the lazy movie plots.
This is going to be golden.
I hope so. We shall see.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
For today's daily story, I'm actually just going to read the synopsis to one of the movies that I feel has a pretty lazy movie plot. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
So the movie is called The Village. I don't know if anybody out there has seen The Village, but if not, I'm just going to read the basic, generalized summary of what it's about, so I won't give you any huge spoilers for the plot here, okay? Are you ready? So The Village, an Amish-style community, lives cut off from the outside world by the woods, in which they believe a dangerous creature exists. They have an uneasy truce with the creature. If they stay out of the woods, they are left unharmed. When one of the young villagers becomes ill, the boy who loves her ignores the elders of the village to make a bid to the next town to fetch her medicine. Now, the reason why I find this to be a lazy movie plot is because I am a country girl. I come from a small town here in the middle of the West. And from this small town, we have the Amish. So basically, this is the movie about the Amish with a monster in the woods. And I'm like, that's not that creative to me.
Agreed.
That's like an everyday Sunday for me. I could go see an Amish buggy and say, oh, there's a monster in the woods, and they might scatter from the streets. So
we're going to agree to disagree on this because I disagree strongly. I've seen The Village. I love the creator of this movie. I think it was philosophically, or the symbolic nature of the film, if you will, was ingenious because and I remember it slightly different. I remember the female was the blind, without trying to spoil too much, was a female protagonist.
No spoiler alerts.
And she was blind, and she was going out into the world to as you said, try to find the cure for somebody who is ill. But in this, they discovered their world was inside another world, and that everything's kind of the reality shift that happens I think it's a great symbol of many people who are like in a scenario like a religion or a cult. And we won't go there, but I think it's an ingenious. But if you're watching it and you're thinking, bam, I'm watching a scary horror movie, yeah, be ready to be disappointed. Because that is not at all what it is. But for someone like me who enjoys a nice plot twist and deep thinking.
But hey, if it's outside of anything you've never seen before, you might think it's a good plot. But for me, it's just like, this is just my hometown with a fake monster in the woods. So I can't really get into it, though I appreciate the effort that was put into it.
You can't hate on the Amish, man. They don't need...
No, I love the Amish. They're my freaking peeps. They're my neighbors. They're my next door neighbors. I say what up to them, in the freaking grocery store.
I've seen this. I can attest to this. I strolled up to Walmart to visit Kat's hometown once, and pulling up next to me, this is not a joke, was a buggy. And I'm not talking like in the islands, like a buggy is like what you push when you have groceries. Out here, a buggy is the horses are connected to with said Amish riders. They will strap that thing. They just tie it up there to a post when they're going in to pick up their groceries that, I don't know, what are they picking up, like frozen pizza?
Who knows? A ton of food for all their 80,000 children.
Right.
But I would think the biggest movie genre that has the worst lazy movie plots would have to be scary movies.
Thank you.
Because they're very repetitive. Yeah. They expect the viewers to have no common sense whatsoever.
Right.
And have no idea what street knowledge is or have any idea of how to save yourself in a dangerous situation. And me being, in the law enforcement world, we'll say, it's like none of this stuff makes sense, and I would hope nobody would do this in a scenario where they need to save their own lives.
Yes, I mean, the villain is always walking at a scary slow pace,
meager
pace, but keeping up with everybody, always around every corner, walking,
because the victims are screaming and wasting so much of their lung capacity yelling that they're not moving their body to get anywhere.
For some reason, they have two left feet and they trip constantly, landing on sharp objects. Their injuries are not even, they get more injuries than like falling into things, and it's like crazy. Ran into a saw, cut half my arm off running from something that is walking towards me and somehow beating me up these steps. None of the plot makes any sense. Yeah, everybody pays money for the jump scares. That's what you're paying for, is jump scares. I had one of my young clients teach me about jump scares because I didn't understand. I'm not a big fan of horror movie genre because I feel like the plots are horrible and you're going to see the same thing, and
it is.
The killer cannot die, but everyone else dies in really strange ways. Even though you know it's coming, it still makes you jump, and it's
in every scary movie movie is a boy who loves a girl, but they also have a group of friends. But you know from the beginning that this boy and this girl are going to survive till the end because they love each other and they're the main, focus of the thing. But all their friends are going to die in weird ways that don't even make sense and aren't necessary for the story plot whatsoever.
And that first kid that makes a rude remark, you're like, oh, that one, he's dying first.
Absolutely, always.
And then there's always the movies that are based off of a child as like the antagonist. The child is like the killer. The child is going to lean over your bed in your sleep. If you can't take down 4-year-old Joey, man, why do you, I just don't, there's no respect for you.
Joey is off his meds. Joey's
going
to get you.
Shit.
I'm off my meds.
All
and
I
now
know
Joey
is
is on top of you while you're sleeping.
I don't care if Joey's got
you.
15 demons in him or whatever the plot has, inferred. But if you can't handle putting an extra lock on your door and calling.
But that's the thing in scary movies. Joey's a mastermind, and he's going to know
that's the thing.
1,000 ways of how to crawl over the roof and go into your master bedroom window and still get to you. So it doesn't matter.
I'll tell you one thing. I work with the adolescent audience.
As do I.
And they're not plotting the demise of all creatures, especially their families. And there are those who struggle with certain things. But I'm just saying there's basic common sense that gets skipped over in every horror movie plot. And the ones with kids as the bad guy, I just don't follow it. I'm like, did you just sit him down? Have you entered him into counseling? Did you ask him?
And that's why I actually love the whole genre of the scary movie comedy ones, though. They were making fun of all the horror movies because they really pointed out everything that was wrong with scary movies, and they were hilarious.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's why it's such a money-making thing. But then what they do is, unfortunately, like every movie, and this is where that lazy movie plot comes from, they make let's say we make an awesome movie. You're just making so much money off this movie. Then you go and destroy it by making a sequel, and then a number 3 and number 4, and by the time you've got Land Before Time 28, and, I'm not going to
dinosaurs are still just eating leaves off trees.
It's the same Before shit, Time 28, day. By the way. The Ring 12, and you're like, little girl with bad hairdo climbing on my TV. What are you going to do now? Saw, the first Saw? Okay, I saw the plot twist there, but then we got like Saw 28, and I'm like, okay.
But the old timey saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And hey, if I can make millions of dollars by giving you the same exact story I just gave you last year, and you're going to still continue to pay for it,
and they do this. If we've learned this, that's what Hallmark does at Christmas. We just do same Christmas movie.
I like a little bit of Hallmark now. They're very wholesome.
Yes, but the plot in every movie, especially around like the holidays, is the exact same thing, just slightly different hair color on the female who's got.
Once again, if it works, why change it?
Let's beat it into the ground.
Yes, beat the dead horse, kick it for days.
That's what happens. And then you have every movie. I mean, I just remember a few years ago when it was all about zombies, and every movie coming out, every TV show, we're on the zombie swing, and everything's about zombies. And the vampires, remember, everything was about vampires. We had TV shows about it. We're all copying Twilight, So you're saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, also when you mimic it and you make 19 versions of it, I'm like, I can't even keep up with the originals. And people know how a zombie.
And they repeat the same storylines, thinking that we're too old. Like we're all super old, and we can't remember that you just made this maybe 5 years ago.
The remake.
Yeah, the remakes. Like it's too soon to be making a remake of Aladdin that you just made.
And Spider-Man. So they used to do like remakes back in the day, and it was like decades in between. You're like, oh, I didn't even know about the original. Now remakes are like every other year.
But you know what's worse than remakes? Reboots.
Yes.
Like
and you brought back the original cast,
it's a remake
but they're 40
of a
years
remake
older.
of a remake with a reboot with a different cast. Like just because you put a different person in that character, it's still the same story that you just told me.
Even now, like it's big on like Netflix and others. They're doing reboots with the original cast, but the times have changed. And what was fun as a sitcom when we were in the 90s, that doesn't. We can't be.
Doesn't work
entertained
anymore in
the same way.
2021.
And when you have somebody who was once a teenager now playing the role of the elderly, like the middle-aged man, that's like 4 kids, it's not as.
It's not as magical. It loses its touch. It's not so Disney anymore.
It ages me. It makes me feel old too.
Don't ever let anything bring you down. You're as young as you feel, darling. As young as you feel.
Thank you. I'm feeling a little bit better now.
And I would say like second to horror movies as being like the most overused, lazy movie plots. It's probably like romantic comedies.
The rom-com, yes.
Oh, I feel like they all shop around the same generic like storyline, but plug in different names and different hair colors. Like you said, we'll just change the girl's hair color this time around and we'll shop it as a completely different movie. No, it's the same thing I just saw.
I can't remember half of them. I know like you're a fan of the Hallmark. I'm not a hater of Hallmark. I think movies that are sentimental to us, we will like it. And then have you ever like really liked a movie from your childhood and then you're super excited to show this movie to a friend and then they're watching it and you're looking at them like, are you see? And then you're realizing like,
they
this
don't
isn't
see.
cool.
I
And they
don't
don't
see. I don't get it.
And they're sitting over there like, what the hell
Right?
do you
Like,
have me watching?
Why did I volunteer to watch
Sentiment,
this?
sentimental movies. They'll stick with us. I'll watch the same Christmas movies with my nieces and nephews that I watched growing up, and they'll look at it like, okay, and as they're getting older, it's just not as cool. But to me, it's like it's got sentiment.
Yeah, no, I've had that experience. I've been forced to watch a few nostalgia movies, as they call them, and I'm like, I've never seen this before, so this is my first time experiencing it. But like, the jokes don't hit the same
They don't hit
in
the
2021
same.
as they did in 1990.
Listen, but I showed you a movie that I stand by. I showed this girl the movie called The Flight of the Navigator. Now, this ages me. I don't care. I have older brothers.
I didn't mind The Flight of the Navigator. I enjoyed it, but I'm just thinking the movie plot was a little lazy.
I thought it was awesome for its time.
There should have been a romantic ending, I thought. Because it was set up to be that way, and I feel like they
Sarah
just dropped
Jessica
the ball.
Parker was like a teenager. I thought it was I could see where now only when I watched it with Cats over here did I catch these little things she was critiquing.
Because I
about
have a
my
romantic soul,
childhood.
and I'm thinking like they could have. If I was writing this could have been a great love story.
Yeah, but
And they
it's
missed it.
my childhood thing, and it's one of those things where it's like I don't need them to try to remake it. Leave it as
You know
it
they're gonna
is.
reboot it in
Damn
about 5
right,
years.
right? Try to
But
bring
they'll
back the
probably
original
twist it.
actor.
The Flight of the Navigator 2 from Disney, because Disney buys everything and puts out everything.
Right, but
Yeah, I did not knock The Flight of the Navigator. I thought it was worth my time. I enjoyed watching it. I just would have twisted the ending myself a little bit to be a little less lazy.
Okay, I'll follow that. But there's a few of them out there that it's like I'm watching them. I'm noticing while I'm watching them with somebody that I forced to watch that with me.
You keep saying the word
How-
forced. How are you
Because I'm
forcing all these people to watch your movies?
I'll be real influential with my persuasive, like, oh, we should watch this. And people, unfortunately, are like, she's got good taste in food and music. Surely this is going to go in that same direction. And then you're watching with them, because Netflix likes to do that, and Hulu, they'll bring back some of these oldies that you're like, oh, you haven't seen that? Well, get ready to live. And then when you're watching it with them, you realize they were ready to live, and this did not bring them to life. And it's like,
it does not
oh, you
give
had
me
to
any
be there when
life.
I was 12 and watching this, sitting cross-legged on the floor, eating fruit snacks.
Yeah, but that was a time before you knew anything else. So when you're
Right.
12,
It
in
was
those
magical.
moments, that movie plot was amazing because you've never seen anything better than it.
Yeah, and now that I look at movies now and kids are super excited about, or teenagers, or kids these days, watching a movie, and I'm like, watching the trailer tells the whole movie nowadays, and I'm like, I hope there's some funny lines in there because the plot is just so basic.
Or it's like the complete opposite where the plot is so convoluted
Yes.
that like I'm confused about being confused about the confusing movie plot.
I thought I was going
And
to
I
see.
spend the whole almost 4 hours now, because movies get longer every time they put them out,
Yeah, it's
trying to
a
figure out,
series.
what am I watching? What did I think I was watching? And what did I pay for? Okay.
And then they'll have like a good plot. There's some movies out there where I'm like, oh, interesting. I'm there for the psychological thrillers. If you can give me a good twist where I'm like, aha, I see what you did there. But now the twist at the end or whatever will be so ridiculous. I'm like, nah, you should have left that twist out. We didn't need that. This should have been done about 5 minutes early. It's be something stupid. It's always horror movies, back on horror movies. The bad guy who just got like cut up to pieces, stabbed 15 times, shot twice in the head. Now all of a sudden they turn around, his body's not there. He's got up and he left. There's another one coming. I'm like, no.
Yeah, he
no,
walked
just
away
let-
from that.
Yeah, no, that's
He's
not.
got that, that crazy person strength. It's a
It's
thing.
like video game power.
I see it in real life all the time. Crazy person strength is a thing. It's out there.
Yeah, well,
Most people would call it fentanyl. Sometimes if you take it, you can rip a fucking door off a car.
Eventually you come down from that and you
So-
have the gashes and wounds.
Correct. So yeah, so the bad guy's he's like getting up and walking away, but he's out in the woods like limping and like, oh my gosh, I almost died back there, but I'm gonna come back for round 52 when
Right,
they make
never in
another
the
one of these
movie.
sequels.
Yeah, in the movie they just pop up again like, I killed you. Oh, my favorite horrible plot line from when I was young, I fell for it. See, because they first had Jaws and then they had Jaws 2.
I have never seen Jaws.
See what I'm saying? This is why I introduced
I
this
don't
movie.
wanna
She's going
hear
to
it.
judge
I
this
don't wanna
movie.
hear it.
I love Jaws. Then we saw
The
Jaws 2.
animatronic
Hey,
shark coming out of the water,
You're going to have enemies
attacking
quickly.
people.
Don't you be hating on Jaws. Jaws 3 came around, but
How
then
many
there's
are there?
Jaws
How
4.
many are there?
I stopped at Jaws the Revenge, which I believe was Jaws 4. I was raised by men. This is what we watched. Jaws 4. At this point, I must have been like 12, 13. I was like, this plot,
like
this
it has
fish
to be-
recognized the relatives of this person from like decades ago. This relative of
Also,
the
it's
shark.
like a super smart shark.
Apparently, this shark was intelligent enough to seek out the child of the original.
It's part dolphin.
I can't.
It's
I
part
don't know.
dolphin. I hear dolphins are the most smartest animals in the sea.
It took 4 of those bitches before I caught him. I was like, nope, this is a stretch.
Because I remember like in the trailer of one, don't they like blow it up or something?
Yes, but
And it
see,
comes back?
it's a relative. It's not
it's
the
a
same one. It's
relative.
another one, apparently.
So passing down the genes is passing down
it's
that
passing
trauma
down
to its relatives.
seeking
and
out the
saying, "Seek these
pheromones of
people
its
out."
hunted. Yeah, I
How
don't know.
crazy! I did not realize
Fell
that.
for it till I was a preteen. I was like,
And it's probably the same animatronic jaw shark every time.
Listen, you can hate on it, but then they tried to mimic the same thing. You have a good plot, so other movies tried to mimic that. And I don't remember if the one that had like LL Cool J and had like the sharks that like get inside the boat or swimming around the kitchen when the boat's sinking.
I do remember that.
It was something.
But I don't remember what the name was.
Deep Blue Sea or
It might
Deep
be
Waters
Deep Blue
or something,
Sea,
something like
actually,
that.
yeah.
All I know is this one. I was like, okay, the sharks are now so smart they have creeped inside a sinking vessel and are hunting people down behind locked doors. Yeah,
But it must work because they have like a whole Shark Week now. People just
they
love-
got Sharknadoes.
Sharknadoes is like the reboot of
Hey,
Jaws,
Shark
but on
Week's
crack.
real stuff. We can't compare. See, my favorite genre would be the documentary because that's real life. That's the real thing. You don't make it up. It's the actual until you get to fake news and people twist the plots. But yeah, the Sharknado. I haven't watched.
I
it,
just
but-
want to get to a point where people realize that like repeats and reboots are not creativity. It's not a movie plot. Like you're just
Right.
being lazy and double dipping on something that's already been done.
Yeah, if Disney
I want
hasn't
people to
done
get
that
more
yet.
creative and do different things. I know Disney's like, well, we
Let's-
did cartoons, so that's
live
now make them
action.
live action.
And all people are doing is like not as good as the original. You took when they took Mushu out of Mulan.
But
they took
Disney's in the
Mushu-
background like, but we have new songs.
Right.
We don't like
They
this
took
song.
Mushu out of Mulan. Come at me. I don't care. You destroyed. I mean, I could have watched. I watched that movie and all I was thinking was, "Where's Eddie Murphy? Where's Mushu? I don't get it."
He's not there.
No, he's not there.
gone.
Killed it.
He's
Completely
gone.
destroyed it.
But, you know, as always, travelers, we do appreciate you always hanging out with us and taking this journey with us.
This journey had some forks. We
It
went-
did.
we
It
went
had some bumps. It
places.
had some,
We were trailblazing.
It had some lopsided lines that we stayed in here,
sure it
but
is.
it was still a good time. I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well, ma'am.
I always enjoy our lovely rants.
If you guys out there have any lazy movie plots you can think about that you would like to comment and let us know about, we would love it. We like to watch new movies, so if you know anything that's out there that's good,
Please.
or anything that has some nostalgia to
After
it.
I take her through Jaws 1 through 4.
That's not going to happen.
Oh,
But
it's
okay.
happening.
It's probably not going to happen, but that's okay. We do appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next episode. If we
Yes.
both show up here, I don't know. I hope for the best.
Go swimming. No Jaws out there. All right, girl.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you joining us on this journey today. And remember, stay off the beaten path. And hey,
Do less.
absolutely.